Hey, this is Chris, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a healthy 3 ingredients carnivore or keto recipe. Okay, so this is like a very nutritious, dense meal, right? So what we've got here is some red meat, okay, some beef here, and then we've got some raw cheese. Okay, this is called Emmental. It's a Swiss raw cheese. And then we've got some organic eggs, like sits there that they're free to roam outdoors. So we've got those. So we're going to use about 3 of these eggs. Then we're going to use some of that cheese. Try not to use too much, just grate it over. And then we're going to use about half of this, right? There's over 1,000 grams in this beef. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in half and use half of it. Now you could use the whole thing, like maybe cook half and then cook half straight away and then put in a lunchbox and bring it to work with you, or save it for dinner the following night. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use egg yolks, okay, only the yolks of the egg. And then after that, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to drain out. I'm not going to use the white because some people have problems with the egg white, right? So if you have ever heard of people saying egg white allergy, and people have an issue with that. So what they do instead is that, like, if you get rid of the egg white is only good for the protein as well, and you get the protein from meat, and meat's got the creatine, and we talked about creatine in the last video, in the video on red meat. So check out that video. We talk about creatine in that video. And also it makes it taste nicer. If you put the egg whites in, it just doesn't taste as nice with it. So put the egg yolk in. And also another reason why I'm going to put egg yolk in it, and only the egg yolk, is because I'm trying to make this a high fat meal. Because if you're following the keto diet, you want more fat than protein. Like I think it's usually it's usually about like roughly 80% fat for the keto diet, and then roughly 15 to 20% protein, and then the other 5% or so is like carbs. So that's why I'm making this meal. It is pretty much no carbs and very, very few. There might be a little bit in the cheese. So if I use egg white, then that's going to increase the protein more. What I'm going to use a fatty cut of meat as well. So if I use like just say 5%, right? You might see lean mince meat. Don't get that. You want the fat in it for this, especially for if you're following the keto diet, as I said, even the carnivore diet. I'll tell you why fat is important. I kind of mentioned in the red meat video, but I'll go into more detail in a minute. But this is 18% mince meat, right? The fat content is 18%. So you've got 18%, right? Then you've got like most of the rest is protein, okay? The other 82% is protein. So then you have to increase the fat more by having the eggs, right? And then the cheese is kind of, it's high in fat plus protein, right? This one has like 32 grams of fat and 29 grams of protein. So it's got a little bit more fat than protein, okay? Because you want to try and, you can even add more eggs if you want it. It's up to you. Egg yolks if you want it, okay? So what I'm going to do is, right, by the way, I'm going to cook it in coconut oil, okay? You can cook in anything else, like I don't have clarified butter, ghee, right? Clarified butter. You could cook in that either if you wanted. I wouldn't use other like vegetable oils though. I wouldn't really use them because they oxidize, right? And they're high in omega-6, where you want a good balance of omega-3 to omega-6. So you want to eat a lot more omega-3 in your diet. So if you're eating something like this is going to be a lot better ratio, okay? Or you can use something like tallow, okay? That's kind of like beef fat. So you can actually cook it in the tallow, okay? You can buy it in shops and online. By the way, I don't eat much carbs at the moment because I have a mild form of epilepsy. So if I'm going to eat, that's going to stimulate the brain if I'm eating carbs. So I don't really recommend people eat too many carbs, but it really depends, okay? If on your lifestyle, some people might want more carbs. If they're doing a lot of exercise, then you want more carbs. If you're bodybuilding, then you want more carbs, because then when you're eating carbs, right, they're going to make you feel hungrier. But I'm not trying to eat more, okay? I'm not trying to be like a bodybuilder or do a lot of even cardio. I'm not doing that at the moment. So if I want to stop having like maybe issues with epilepsy, then this is the best way I'm doing it, okay? And it's working well. So, and also this is very nutritious though. So if you add other stuff into it, it's not going to be nutritious. Because like, as I said, this has got creatine, it's got saturated fat. People think that fat's bad, by the way. Here's another thing. But, like, as I said in another video, right? Like 80% of your brain is made up of fat, okay? And then there's a thing called rabbit starvation. Check out my video, I'm not going to go into detail now, but check out my video on red meat when I talk about saturated fat v unsaturated fat. But rabbit starvation is when you eat too much lean meat, because you want to eat fattier meat, like you can't just eat lean meat all day. And then also with the beef, it's got some phosphorus in it, got some B12 and stearic acid even. And then with the eggs, that's got some, the egg yolk. See, the thing is, right, people say, oh, the egg white is the healthiest, but that's only got the protein, where, as I said, you can get the protein from the beef. And even bodybuilders, they think, oh yeah, I'll just eat egg whites. You see, it actually is more effective if you eat the egg yolk with it. And they think that the egg yolk is bad. That's actually most nutritious in it, okay? Egg yolk is high in vitamin A, all the fat soluble vitamins. Because if you're eating a lot of saturated fat, then that's going to be, you're going to get loads of fat soluble vitamins, and then the rabbit starvation, you're going to avoid that as well. And then also egg yolk is high in vitamin A, not as much as like something like liver now, but it's still high in vitamin A, which is one of the fat soluble vitamins as I was talking about. It's high in choline, and then cheese, that's high, especially if you get raw cheese. Get raw cheese, right? Obviously, if you have problems with the casein, then that's the issue, okay? Try and look for A2 casein, but even then, people have it. That's a protein milk. One of the proteins is milk. Okay, the other protein is whey. People don't usually have a problem with whey. But also talking about cheese is that, check out my videos on dairy, by the way. And then also the other thing on cheese is that, like, well, it is low in lactose. If you have a problem with lactose, then cheese is grand. Cheese is fine to eat. And then the coconut oil, that's one of the plant foods that does actually have some saturated fat. It's got some lauric acid. But of course, you want to be eating animal foods, okay? So you're only going to use a little bit of the coconut oil. All right. So yeah, this is, as I said, this is a great meal for carnivore or for keto, and you can add more egg yolks if you want, as I said. It's up to you. And then grate the cheese on top. So what we're going to do is going to cook the beef, going to put the oil on, then cook the beef, and then we're going to put some of the egg yolks on, and then we're going to grate the cheese. We're going to put the egg yolks on right at the end when it's cooked, okay? When it's cooked on the pan, we're going to throw the egg yolks on, mix them in, and then put the cheese on the end, because we don't want to cook the cheese too much. We don't, okay? So we're going to do that, because it's like raw cheese, so you don't want to cook the cheese, because then it's like you're cooking raw cheese, so then it's almost like as if you're having pasture-raised cheese, even though it's not. Okay, but anyway, let's jump into this video and I'll show you how to make this. So let's give this a taste. Tastes good. So the egg yolk, that is extra nice as well. That gives a really nice taste. Now, the reason why you're eating this instead of just like eating a steak and eating like the egg yolks on their own is because this works out cheaper. Although don't be cheap on your health, but at the same time, like, I don't think there's much difference. And sometimes with the aged meat, like sometimes steaks, like people have histamine intolerance, but mainly because like some of the steaks are about like 2 or 3 times the price of mince meat. Right? And mince meat is just as nice. I actually prefer it now than beef, and it's more versatile, I find it. So you can use mince meat in burgers as well. It depends on what type of diet you're following and what you eat. So you don't have to make this specifically. Okay, but it's a lot cheaper than, as I said, than you can even use lamb's meat instead if you want. Lamb's mince meat if you want. It's up to you. Okay, you don't have to necessarily eat beef mince. So and it's just as nutritious. You can eat this whenever. Sometimes I even eat it for breakfast. Sometimes I eat it 2 or 3 times a day because because I know this is a lot more nutritious than most things, and also it doesn't have too many issues. Like, has pretty much every vitamin that you need, right? Beef does. And then egg is really healthy as well. It's got a lot of stuff. Cheese for the calcium as well, and the K2, vitamin K2. So try this out, and it's very tasty. Yeah, very tasty. Yeah. So try this out and let me know what you think. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Super tasty.